The most admirable of professions is farming. It's underappreciated these days, and it certainly has its challenges. One challenge Jesus told us about was discerning the wheat from the weeds. It's known as the parable of the wheat and the tares. My name is Tom Miller. I'm pastor of Central Assembly in Superior, Wisconsin. And this is Fuel for the Fire, volume 696. It's called Weed Whacking. As the story unfolds, we learn members of a rival family have slipped in while the farmer's servants slept and sowed weeds in with the freshly planted wheat fields of the farmer. Time passed, and when the farmer's servants realized what had transpired, they wanted to pull up the weeds, but the farmer said not to, because while they gathered up the tares, they would also uproot the wheat. There are some big-time lessons for us in the story of the wheat and the tares, as told in Matthew 13. First, we learn there's an enemy of our souls who will stop at nothing to destroy kingdom work. This ought to be taken seriously by the child of God. The enemy is not to be feared. We should not ignore him either. Second, we also learn from the parable when the enemy does his best work. The enemy works while we sleep. The servant of God must be vigilant. We war against an enemy who's very subtle, does not play fair, and works in the dark. Many who are deceived don't realize it. It isn't one moment or one decision. It's a series of seemingly less significant compromises that move you one step at a time to a place you never intended to be. Number 3, we also learn sometimes believers look like unbelievers. That's why the farmer didn't want his servants to do any weed whacking. Sometimes the wheat looks like weeds. And the problem of the tares will not be fully addressed until the harvest, out of consideration for the good seed. Number 4, in light of this truth, we learn our job is simply to continue to grow. We're planted in the field. It's our task to move toward maturity. And 5th, it's not our job to judge. We can leave the weed whacking to God. Judgment is not hasty, but it's sure. Only God sees the whole of a man. In this life, believers and unbelievers will coexist, but they will be separated at the judgment. So shall it be at the end of the world, the Bible says. The Son of Man shall send forth his angels, and they shall gather out of his kingdom all things that offend and them which do iniquity, and shall cast them into the furnace of fire, and there shall be wailing and gnashing of teeth. Then shall the righteous shine forth as the sun in the kingdom of their Father. Who has ears to hear, let him hear. That's the way I see it, and that's a little fuel for the fire. And remember, I love you guys.